There's a new article posted on Clean Technica, which makes a interesting claim. In summary, Volkswagen claims its electric vehicles business will become as profitable as its conventional car business more quickly than expected. According to CFO Arno Antlitz, we see better scale, we see better margins, we see high customer demand. Originally, we thought it takes 2 to 3 years until we see profit parity of ICE and battery electric vehicles. Well, I have some serious concerns to make because he seems to be contradicting Volkswagen's CEO. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you here. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. I want to say a big shout out and thank you to our Patreon supporters. Really means a lot to have you. You help support the channel. It's basically what keeps us going. So does your support by watching these videos. Appreciate your support, by the way. Steve Hanley says on cleantechnic.com that prior to the Volkswagen Group's annual meeting on March 15, the company told the press that several of its electric car models, including the Porsche Taycan, are sold out through to the end of 2022. In addition, high demand is helping its electric car business become as profitable as its conventional car business more quickly than expected. Is it as profitable? Or is it becoming as profitable? Is it even profitable now? We haven't received a clear statement from the company. I believe there's a lot of marketing going on here, a lot of twisting words to make something sound in a certain way. Back in July of last year, Volkswagen openly admitted that the ID.4 is not profitable, but it is confident it can start making money on the EV during its life cycle at some point, even though it does take 30 hours to manufacture versus 10 hours for Tesla's EVs. According to the head of development for Volkswagen passenger cars, Thomas Ulbrich, the current price of the ID.4 means that one of the reasons the SUV is not yet profitable is due to the company still ramping up production at its assembly plant in Zwickau, Germany. Now, the president of consulting firm CarLab, Eric Noble, said that Volkswagen surely has the best intentions, but they are playing catch up. What they will discover with experience is that as they lower the cost of packaging and cooling around the cells themselves, the percentage of the battery's cost, that is raw materials, rises. Those raw materials are earth minerals. Obviously, we've seen the dramatic increase in the cost of nickel right now, and considering Volkswagen does not use LFP batteries in their cells, that would have affected them massively. This means the price of those with demand will rise, and it is. The same as iron ore, gold, diamonds, and crude oil. When demand rises, prices rise too. Well, this guy was an oracle. He's predicted something. Obviously, it has come true. Now, what Volkswagen could have and should have done, in my view, was use LFP batteries. Now, they agree with that. They've admitted so themselves. They've said they're going to in some point in the future, but they're not currently doing that. So I highly doubt that the ID.4 is somehow profitable today when the raw materials prices of lithium and nickel, two of the key cost drivers of the batteries Volkswagen use, have, well, gone up by more than a factor of 3 since this article, when Volkswagen said they don't make any money from the ID.4. And Volkswagen has not even disclosed whether or not they make money, period, from any of the EVs they sell. They've said comments like, we're surprised at how we're going to be profitable sooner than we thought. Does that mean they're profitable now? Well, not necessarily. We don't even know. They won't disclose that information. Let's go back to Steve Hanley's article on Clean Technica. Now, Steve says that Volkswagen has worked for several years on an aggressive plan to transition to electric vehicles, aiming to have EVs account for half of its global production by 2030, which in my view will mean that they will be in serious trouble if that's the case. If only half of their vehicle production in 2030 is electric, then I think they will need a multi-billion-dollar bailout from the German government. Whether or not the German government can bail out them and other car manufacturers that it will need to bail out is anyone's guess. I don't know. The Chinese are coming, BYD is coming, Tesla is coming, and honestly, if only 50% of their portfolio is actually selling, then that is a problem. Hopefully, they pivot before then and change that number. I'm guessing they will. Now, Steve says that while the plan isn't expected to hit its full stride until the middle of this decade, it's already bearing fruit. And yeah, it's not. Steve, I don't know if I agree with you here, considering the fact that even Herbert Diess himself said they can't compete with Tesla until their new factory is completed in 2025. He said those words, not me. He said they cannot compete with Tesla on price, and he really pointed this fact out. He didn't say it's close. He said that they're miles behind in terms of competing with Tesla on their current numbers until this new factory is built in 2025. So I'm not really sure that they're currently making a profit. However, that said, Volkswagen was the leading seller of EVs in Europe last year with about 25% of the market. In the US, it was second behind Tesla with about 7.5% share last year, according to CNBC. Volkswagen's share of the China's EV market is very, very small, but it's growing quickly, according to Steve. Well, honestly, actually, Steve, it's not growing quickly at all. In fact, their market share hasn't grown at all in the last few months. In reality, it's actually declined in January and February of this year. Market share is not increasing as you claim, unfortunately, for Volkswagen. Volkswagen's EV deliveries in China were up 400% to 93,000 cars in 2021. It expects deliveries to double again in 2022. If deliveries double in 2022, its market share won't have increased at all. In fact, it may have decreased, considering the numbers we're seeing currently in China. At best, it'll maintain market share if it does double production by 400%. Now, apparently, Ford is part of the reason, says Steve, to why Volkswagen is seeing sunny skies ahead for its EV operations. As they reported yesterday, Ford is planning 2 battery electric models for Europe that will be based on Volkswagen's MEB electric car platform. Those cars are expected to account for 1.2 million sales over 6 years, beginning in 2023. That's roughly twice as many as the two companies originally planned. This is really good news, and this is the kind of strategy that Ford and Volkswagen should pursue. Volkswagen saying we're going to have 70 models of EVs, and that's a good strategy, is the opposite to what I'm reading here, where they're saying, well, they're basically saying Ford will use our platform, therefore we'll amortize the platform costs. That makes total sense to me. Having 70 models doesn't do that. It does the opposite to that. So I really like that strategy. But to me, I'd be happier if Volkswagen came out and said, you know what? We don't need 70 models. That's just confusing. 35 will do, or 30, or 20, 15. Realistically, do we really even need more than 15? I don't think so. And the other thing to point out is Ford selling 1.2 million vehicles over 6 years beginning in 2023. So between 2023 and 2029, it's not really that big of a number. That's realistically only 200,000 sales per year. And when we're talking about massive legacy car companies, adding an extra 200,000 per year, well, it's good. First of all, the sales are not Volkswagen's, they're Ford's. So yeah, sure, Volkswagen get a little bit of money out of it, but it wouldn't be the same as selling to a retail customer. And in addition, 200,000, it's not really a large slice of the market. Volkswagen has said its next generation EV platform, codenamed SSP, is on track to launch in 2026. The company is building a new $2.2 billion factory in Wolfsburg to produce electric cars on the new chassis, which is designed to accommodate vehicles larger than those that fit on the MEB platform. And that's the factory here in Wolfsburg that Herbert Diess says the company desperately needs in order to compete with Tesla and China. However, it's not going to be online until 2026. What happens between now and 2026? How much disruption can happen in 4 years? Quite a lot. Now, the first SSP car from Volkswagen is said to be based on a sedan codenamed Trinity, and it's possible the large sedan in the picture above gives us an idea of what it could look like. Other good news from Volkswagen. Volkswagen is expanding its global charging network from about 10,000 high-speed chargers in the US, China, and Europe to about 45,000 in those 3 areas by 2025. 10,000 of those high-speed chargers will be operated by Electrify America in the US. Prior to their annual meeting, Volkswagen Group CEO Herbert Diess told reporters that the Russian assault on Ukraine could result in the company moving some production out of Europe to North America and China in response to war-related supply chain disruptions. And they have paused production of a number of their vehicles during this period. The company currently has 1 assembly plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and 3 in China. The Tennessee factory is being expanded to produce the ID4 with ID5 and ID Buzz production likely to take place there as well in the future. Now, even more important than all those factories for Volkswagen is their Anhui factory in China, which is a dedicated electric vehicle production plant. That, in my view, is the best news from Volkswagen, period, over the past 12 months. Because all this stuff, I mean, it's all great. It's all like, this is going to happen in 2026, 4 years away. We have no idea what's going to happen in 2026. We could lose massive amounts of market share. We don't know. I mean, Herbert Diess is basically saying that we're going to lose market share to Tesla and Volkswagen, 60 or 70% of that JV with their partner in China. So that, to me, is good news for them, because realistically, that is the factory. They're the kind of factories that Volkswagen needs. Legacy Auto doesn't need these factories that they're trying to painstakingly slowly convert from internal combustion engine factories into electric cars. They need ground up new factories built to produce EVs. And if they're doing this in China, they will be able to compete on price. But competing on price with China, when cars are made in China, even if you're paying a 10% import tax to sell them into Europe, I still think that is virtually impossible to do. I think we'll discover this much over the next decade. I mean, realistically, can the West compete on price in manufacturing mobile phones? Even when we charge these kinds of tariffs on those products coming to America, coming to Europe, coming to Australia? No, we cannot. Can we compete on the manufacturing of 90% of the products that the West purchases right now? Even with these taxes that we put on top? No, we can't. Why then do we think we can compete on electric cars? Well, we can't unless we have some big advantages, right? Big advantages. 10% tax into tariff into Europe is not enough of a big advantage, especially when you are not selling lithium iron phosphate batteries made 3 kilometers away or made in the same city, made by factories where they're purpose-built factories that have been working on how they can be more efficient every single day, pivoting as fast as they can, pivoting much faster than Western car companies. I think the writing's honestly on the wall. I really don't see how Volkswagen can maintain market share, considering they're saying, Herbert Diess is saying, we can't compete with Tesla until 2026 when this Wolfsburg factory is complete. I honestly think this article on Clean Technica is being nice. It's like a positive puff piece. It's not really telling you the true facts. The true facts are, well, Volkswagen's head is on the line. All of Legacy's Auto's heads are on the line. The next decade is going to be a serious cliffhanger for them. I mean, big time. That said, I actually like Volkswagen's EVs. I like Herbert Diess. I'm a huge fan. As you know, he's one of my top 5 global CEOs. Massive fan of him. Can he turn the company around fast enough in spite of all the forces inside the company that don't want this to happen, in spite of the people who are trying to get him fired? Well, who knows? Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again on the next one. Bye-bye.